Hello everyone, Eternal Flame here, and today is a rather sad day for this Jujutsu Kaisen chapter review because of one simple reason. Gege has ended the perfect naming streak, as in chapter 265, the name of this chapter is called That Day. So a moment of silence for the decisive battle in the uninhabited demon-infested Shinjuku, part insert number here. Okay, so on a real note though, this is a really good chapter. I absolutely love this chapter, and yeah, I'm really excited to get into this chapter for all y'all. So, without further ado, let's get straight into this chapter. Though a warning, this is a kind of massive change of pace for normal Jujutsu Kaisen, mainly because this is a massive text-based chapter inside of Yuji's domain, which by the way, this train station is Yuji's domain. For all the people who are thinking this was an airport scene, this is not, this is Yuji's domain. But the chapter starts out with a conversation between Sukuna and Yuji, as Sukuna says, "I've experienced this before, the rare phenomenon of connecting with a sorcerer during the height of battle. I had thought it was a side effect of some sort due to curse energy being born from humans. Yet this is something different. What is this, your domain?" As Yuji tells Sukuna that he just wanted to talk to him and he did this really frantically, so he doesn't really understand it either. Now, I think Sukuna is actually referring to both when he talked to Jogo as well as when he talked to Kashimo in that little afterlife-like sequence, or at least what we believe to be the afterlife, but in reality, I think it's like a little area like this one right now, where sorcerers connect in the heat of battle. And that makes a lot of sense both for Kashimo and Jogo, that they were able to connect through fighting, and Sukuna was able to talk to them in that type of realm that exists. After all, Sukuna describes this as similar to that realm, but not exactly the same thing. It's not that important, but it is rather interesting, at least in my opinion, though this does kind of debunk a theory that I've had for a long while, which is that Sukuna has the ability to access the afterlife, which he doesn't. This just confirms that it happened like right before Jogo and Kashimo died, rather than him actually going to their afterlife to talk to them for a little bit. As it's then, Yuji and Sukuna walk past something known as a demon sword dance statue. Now, I don't actually think this is going to have any massive significance to the future of JJK, however, I do find it interesting, though this does confirm they are walking through Yuji's hometown in Sendai, which means Yuji's domain might actually be a whole recreation of Sendai. Though, if someone in the comments can tell me the significance of the demon sword stand statue, since I know there are some people in the comment section who know a lot more about significant things in Japan than I do, so if one of you guys actually do know already, can you guys put it in the comment section for me? Thank you. Because that may be very useful for theory crafting, and I don't exactly want to dismiss it yet. As Yuji explains, for the first 7 years of his life that he was raised here, and he only ended up returning here when he was about 10 years old for a funeral of one of his grandfather's friends. And when he came back, he was actually surprised at how empty the town felt in comparison, and a part of him had to wonder that if his grandfather had died first, would that friend have come to visit them as well. After that, Yuji ends up bringing Sukuna to the park where he used to hang out a lot as a child, and he goes on to tell Sukuna about a story about how he dropped some slime in the sandbox and he tried to wash it out, but it ended up making the whole thing go down the drain and he was crying a lot. And Sukuna just looks so absolutely done with everything. Like, you can tell in Sukuna's head he's just trying to get on with this already, he doesn't really get what Yuji is trying to do right now. As then, Yuji notices a flower and tells Sukuna about the flower, with Sukuna correcting him, mainly because he has access to Megumi's memories and that's where he got the memory from. Now, I'm not going to say the flower itself, mainly because I'm going to mess up on the pronunciation and I don't feel like messing up on that pronunciation today. As then, right after, Yuji asks Sukuna if he already knows about all these places because he should also have access to his own memories. However, Sukuna tells him that he didn't really care to look through Yuji's memory, and Yuji says right, before he challenges him to go crawfishing with him, taunting him by saying that the strongest in history can't catch a couple crawfish, which caused the two of them to go fishing together. Now, this does actually make me wonder if Sukuna is lying about looking through Yuji's memories or not, because Sukuna is saying that he didn't bother looking through those memories, but at the same time, it could very well be possible that Sukuna is lying right now. That is for the future to know, but right now I'm just going to assume Sukuna is telling the truth. So the two continued their tour, first with Yuji talking about this department store that ended up closing with a movie theater opening instead of it in its place. Then the two of them went across a bridge in order to see the grass on the station. Then the two of them got to see some horses, which got to show Yuji's love for horses that he apparently has. Then the two of them went to a farm and did some archery practice with each other as well, with Sukuna showing that he is skilled at archery mainly because he is from the era of archery and it being invented in that era. And finally, we got a picture of Yuji enjoying some hot sweet tea as a baby as well, something he always did after he finished shoveling. However, after all this touring, Sukuna is done with this, and Sukuna has lost a lot of his patience as he tells Yuji to get on with it and say what he wants to say. Before Yuji then begins to explain something about himself and about how his mentality has changed, as Yuji says, "Up until recently, I thought I should simply live to fulfill my role as I understood it. I thought if I died like that, I could at least consider it a proper death. But now, I feel like that's not entirely right. Walking the dog, raising a family, any sort of role like that is just fine. Even if you don't have anything like that, as long as you can eat, sleep, and even if you're stuck in bed sick, even if you spent your life with no connections and nothing remains of you, more than memories made in one image, is within the little tiny fragments that remain drifting off where the value of life lies. It never had anything to do with the ways people die, I just couldn't ever forgive those who acted as if that value didn't exist. Sukuna, I loathe you. Humans aren't tools. We aren't born with any set role. Which is to say, I don't know. I don't know whether humans are fundamentally good or evil. I could very well be doing the wrong thing here, so I thought I should at least let you see. The humanity of someone other than yourself, of someone you see no value in. And this is why I absolutely love this chapter. It is the culmination of Yuji's growth, the culmination of Yuji's journey, where Yuji started out with wanting to make sure people had good deaths, to him living as a cog, to him gaining the role of a cog thanks to the circumstances that ended up happening where he believed that he was necessary to be a cog, all the way to what his role is now. Or at least how he views life now. I don't think Yuji views himself as a cog anymore. I think he is completely broken out from that mentality now, and he simply views himself as a human. So he's going to live as a human. He's going to live with his morality and allow his morality to guide him. Whatever role he is given in life, he is going to end up achieving, and that is the type of human Yuji has become. Yuji is simply a human, and he's trying to now show Sukuna the value of being a human, something that he had learned through his journey, something he had learned from the friends he had made that are still currently alive, as well as those who had passed away. And I absolutely love this panel showing all of the dead people that have ended up working together in order to make who Yuji is now. From his grandfather who started him on this path all the way to Junpei, who was the first person who experienced him of this world of Jujutsu sorcery, to Nanami, the one who trusted everything to Yuji in order to defeat Mahito, to Nobara, one of the earliest friends he had made as a Jujutsu sorcerer who still holds a special place in his heart, same with Megami, as well as Choso, who is already dead and sacrificed his life in order to save his brother, and showed him the love of a brother, and finally Gojo, the one who saved his life, the one who put him on this path but also guided him and had faith in him that he was going to end up making the world better rather than letting him get executed. And finally Mahito and Sukuna, people who saw no value in life and people who ended up strengthening Yuji's desire to make sure the value of life could be seen by others. Though I do think this is unfortunately confirmation that Nobara and Gojo are dead. Like, I think this is the final nail in the coffin, especially for Gojo, that he is dead and he's likely not coming back, considering everybody else who is shown in this entire flashback while Yuji is talking. And this is why I absolutely love this chapter. It is the culmination of Yuji's journey, the culmination of everything that has happened to Yuji to make him who the person he is today, with the person who started everything for Yuji, Sukuna, the one who had ended up sending him on this path. However, this chapter isn't done yet, as Sukuna has a response, as Sukuna tells Yuji, "I don't feel a thing. I understand everything you're saying, brat, and yet it stirs no emotion within me. Just as you felt when you saw how quiet this town became, you'd expected it. I feel absolutely nothing." Of course, Sukuna could see what Yuji was trying to do, but all of that didn't matter to Sukuna. It wasn't a matter of him not being able to see it, not being able to see the value in human life. It was just something that he himself would never value ever. As Yuji, almost in a face of acceptance, just said, "No dice, huh?" Figured. Because Yuji himself wasn't really surprised, as both of them knew the reality of their situation. This was more so Yuji trying to show Sukuna something, rather than Yuji trying to turn Sukuna good. As Sukuna then immediately said, "Suffice to say, I'm dumbfounded by your cowardice, your rage toward me, your hatred. Is this all it amounted to? Wait, you couldn't possibly be. Are you pitying me?" Something Sukuna said in an anger, as an anger began to rise on Sukuna. And this angered him more than likely anything he had ever done since he had reawakened in Yuji's body. To see someone like him, someone as pathetic as Yuji who didn't have anywhere near as much strength as Sukuna, pity him like this. However, Yuji confirms that suspicion as he tells him, "Sukuna, I can kill you. Release Fushiguro, return to my body, and I'll spare your life." As the circles return to Yuji's eyes, the circles of the awakened state that Yuji had entered into when he first landed that black flash in the Shinjuku showdown. However, Sukuna Return declares that turning Yuji to bits won't be enough, that he is going to destroy everybody Yuji cares about in front of him as well. And that is the end of this chapter. Now, it should be noted, JJK is going on break next week, like how all manga is going to be going on break next week, but this was an amazing chapter. An amazing chapter that was the culmination of Yuji and Sukuna's journey, and the reality that things were never going to change, that this would be the end, that neither of them were going to stop until one or the other were dead. And in my opinion, this is a really good chapter. As you guys can tell, I absolutely love this chapter. I think it's really good. It's the culmination of both of their stories up to this point, but that's all I gotta say for this chapter. I'm curious to see what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'm gonna see y'all later. Hope y'all have a good day. Bye.